So option number 2 would be to start your own team, which in and of itself is a completely different ballgame and requires a lot of work, as we know.
Oh, yes, we know.
Yes. So we actually started doing our own team in 2018, but we didn't launch until 2019 because it took us a year to figure out all the logistics. The reason for that is it's a huge undertaking, and at the end of the day, as the founders of a new team, the clients' lives, they're in your hands. So you might think, oh, being a paranormal investigator is fun. You go out, you go to people's houses, gather EVPs, evidence, whatever. But what you don't always understand is that these people are at their wits' end sometimes. Their lives, their finances, their jobs, their marriages sometimes are falling apart. And when you're starting your own team, it's on you to help them if they reach out for help, because that's why you're doing this. That's why you're starting a team, because you want to help other people. So starting a team isn't just a huge undertaking in terms of the amount of work involved. It's also the responsibility that is now on your shoulders, because these clients are looking to you for help. And you have to, at the end of the day, be that one to help them.
Yeah, and you really want to put yourself in their shoes. Always try to understand the client from their perspective.
Yeah.
And also with you and your team's perspective. And that being said, when you start your own team, you have total and utter control of every aspect of your process, which is great. You know, your team is going to most likely vary from the other teams that are out there. Every team is different from state to state, from country to country. And obviously what you see on TV, we're all different. We all believe in different things and how our processes should follow suit. So that's what it's all about. And starting your own it's an undertaking, but definitely worth it.
If that's what you want to do, it's totally worth it. So the first thing you have to figure out when you're starting a team is how deep you want to go in terms of the structure of the team. So legally wise, you have options in terms of, do you want to be a nonprofit, which would require paperwork to be filed with the government, and you would have to do a lot of paperwork in regards to showing if you sell any items, if you make any money, where that money's going towards in terms of the team in general. So obviously as a nonprofit, you can't show any profit. It's a lot of paperwork involved in that. The other option is just to do it as a hobby. So when you're doing it as a hobby, there's not really paperwork involved, but at the end of the day, you also can't collect any money. Not that anyone ever should from a client. When we talk about collecting money, we're talking in regards to like selling things at expos,
Right.
or maybe on your website selling psychic protection stuff, or meditation videos, that kind of thing. It is the belief of our team that a client should never be charged for your services, because you're really there to help. So you should not be collecting money from somebody who's at their wit's end and in dire need. So when we're talking about nonprofit versus hobby and collecting money and whatnot, we're really talking about selling items, tangible items, not your services. And at the end of the day, as a hobby, you don't have to file paperwork, but you also can't sell anything. So that's something to take into consideration. So which means any piece of equipment you buy, any expos that you have to pay for, that comes out of your own pocket, and you have to be prepared to shell out that money or divvy that out amongst the team members in terms of the money involved when setting up a team.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And that's worth it as well. I mean, any expense that's made from our own pockets, we fully appreciate that to every end imaginable.
Yes.
So it's important. Yeah. And what's also important is knowing how to pick your people.
Oh.
So recruiting members to be on your team is so important. You want to make sure that personalities jive with one another, which can be hard, and you're not always going to agree on anything or everything, but that's important as well. I mean, it's good to have those conversations, especially in terms of cases. Not everyone agrees all the time, but that's okay. Talk it out. Figure it out. That's how you really just operate on a team. Well, communication is key. Yeah. So remember that.
Just like when you're joining an existing team, you want to know that you understand and get along with the other members. It's the same when you start your own team and have to pick crew members and investigators. So you're not going to want to pick somebody who, at the end of the day, isn't going to be responsible, doesn't talk to the clients appropriately, is never available for cases. You really have to be extremely delicate with that. And so we recommend having a membership application.
Yeah.
For people who want to join a team.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. And then also you want to be able to delegate responsibilities to those people. So when you start a team, it's going to be almost impossible to do everything yourself. There is a lot of work involved. So if you do want to start a team by yourself, we recommend getting at least a few people who are experienced off the bat who you can trust to delegate responsibilities to. And these are people that are going to be either co-directors or maybe managers of the team who you can use and give important responsibilities to, such as marketing, website, receiving inquiries, calling clients, setting up prelims and investigations. These are people you're going to have to rely on and you're going to have to delegate responsibilities to. Do not put all the work on your shoulders because it's impossible. It really is.
Yeah.
So you need to trust the people around you and be able to give them jobs to do.
And all really because we have full-time lives.
Oh, yeah.
On top of being paranormal investigators. That's a total voluntary thing. I mean, we all have full-time jobs, and those are, 8-9 hours a day, and then literally being a paranormal investigator is for after hours.
Yeah.
So
it's a non-paying second job.
You don't want to spread yourself too thin. That's just insane and ridiculous.
Then you're no good to the client.
Exactly.
Because you're tired.
Yeah. So you want to make sure your energy is on par for all investigations and dealing with clients and anything else in terms of the behind the scenes work.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely.
And with that being said, so, after delegating responsibilities and, trying to recruit new members, you also want to make sure that you have a handbook or guidelines down that are crystal clear in general. And it's actually funny because our team just got finished putting ours together.
Version 2.0.
Yes. And so it's a cohesive handbook that is so easy to understand. Everything is crystal clear to all of our members. We all agree in every aspect of the handbook as well. It was a thought out process. And, especially with our 2 team members in training, they are learning every aspect and taking classes, but having this handbook, they're forever grateful because now they can refer to it anytime and any chance that they have.
It's a good resource to have if they ever have a question and they're like, oh, I don't feel like reaching out to Gail again because I texted her 20 times today. Okay, let me go to the handbook. Let me see if it's in there.
Yeah, it really just provides that guidance for them and also us sometimes. You never know.
Yeah. And it's a good way if you're founding a team with other members. By putting together the handbook, it gives you that opportunity to discuss different options and really make sure you're on the same page in terms of responsibilities, how investigations are done, how equipment works, how prelims are set up, the whole nine. Just making sure everybody's on the same page. And also it's good for new people to understand what's required of them. Yep. And then that also, one of the items that you would talk about in the handbook is the equipment, like I just said. And that is another thing when you're starting a team to take into consideration because you can't expect every new team member to have their own equipment. If that's something that you require of them, then you're going to have difficulty gathering some good people because they might not have the money or the funds or the know-how of even how to work it. So it's definitely an investment you're going to have to make in terms of having team equipment. So for instance, when we do an investigation, the only thing we require our investigators to have is a red flashlight, a audio recorder, and a still camera. So those are just your bare basics that anybody can buy each one of those for pretty reasonable prices, even on basic retail stores. But you do need more equipment for investigations such as EMF meters, cell sensors, I don't know, you can get fancy with SLS cameras, the whole nine. That costs money.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of money. So if that's the route you want to take, great. You're going to have to make sure you can have that investment in place. Or create a team with other people where combined you have enough equipment where you can have an investigation without requiring your investigators to have their own. So that's definitely something you need to remember when starting your own team. Do I have the money and the resources to be able to conduct an investigation right off the bat. If you get an inquiry tomorrow, can you do an investigation the next day?
Mm-hmm.
You have to have that all in place.
Definitely. And also to remember, I think is great, the last thing to know, especially in terms of clients, when you have your own team, everything falls on you and your team in terms of making sure that the clients have the knowledge that they need, especially to move forward past their own case. And just in terms of while the case is happening, you need to make sure that you and your team are on the same wavelength in terms of how to handle the case in all its entirety and the clients.
Yeah.
That's really important. You don't want to burn bridges with people. You're there to help them and their situation. So definitely leave your ego at the front door, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, take a step back, put yourself in their shoes at all times, and don't let your teammates, you know, have their ego come to the forefront. No, that's not what's needed. You're there for the client, and you're there to help them at all times.
And at the end of the day, as the founder of a team, buck stops with you.
Yes.
So let's say you have an investigator who's a case manager, and they're dealing with a client, and the client gets super difficult, or let's say they're completely distraught, and your investigator doesn't know how to handle it. Then you're on the phone. You're the one handling that client. So at the end of the day, when you found a team, you have to know that you, at the end of the day, need to be able to take care of that client. If your investigators can't handle it, you need to be able to step in and do it. So it's a huge responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but even just being an investigator is a huge responsibility too. So we hope that with this video, you've learned enough to know what you need to do to join a team or to start your own team. Just the basics. You know, obviously we're not going too in depth here. But if you want to be a paranormal investigator, don't expect it to be the TV shows, guys.
And you're literally not trying, or you shouldn't try to be on a team just to always have fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's not. No.
Yeah. This is serious work.
Yeah.
Even though it's voluntary, it's serious.
Yes.
So
there are moments of having fun.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to actually the work.
Yeah.
It's work. So, and sometimes it's boring, and sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it's stressful, but it's so worth it in the end when you know you've helped somebody and that their lives are better because of it. So, totally worth it. Anyway, so we hope we helped you out if you're thinking about being an investigator to figure out what's involved. And if you have any questions, let's say you have a concern that we didn't hit in this video today, feel free to reach out to us on social media, send us an email on our website, and we'll get back to you. You know, we're here because the paranormal community is a tight community, and we're all about helping each other. So feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be happy to answer any questions. All right, guys? So don't forget to like, subscribe to this YouTube channel, okay?
And our social media platforms.
Yes. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go to our website. All of it's on there. And we really hope you check it out and like, subscribe. Please.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one. Bye.